Welcome, Johann. Thank you very much for coming to ECO6G.
Thanks to you, Jesus, for the invitation.
Who is Johann Marquez-Barja?
Johann is a man who's in love with technology. I'm a professor of University of Antwerp, and also I am a lead researcher at IMEC. IMEC is a leading research institute in Belgium. Belgium has an interesting model for innovation. The government supports strategic areas where the country can bring their best game. And one of those areas is technology. And IMEC works research into silicon chipsets up to cloud computing. So we go from the chip that it's in the devices or the knowledge in those chips and the devices, the bits, the network, the process of those bits up to the cloud. And that is IMEC. I'm leading programmable and intelligent networks there within a group called ID Lab. And this group, it's part of University and University of Antwerp and IMEC. So IMEC, it's an institute that interacts with society directly and through universities. That's Johann.
That sounds very interesting. So, Johann, we met when we were working in the 5G PPP project, so in the context of mobile wireless communications. And, we wonder, do we need yet another generation of mobile wireless communications? Do we need 6G?
I think that's a fair question to ask ourselves as our community. Do we really need another generation? We are just starting to see the benefits of 5G and suddenly start talking about 6G. Sounds early, right? But I think it's important to talk about what research and what development and commercialization is. Research-wise, we have to invest our effort, put our minds together to explore what is next. So if we are living right now experiencing the benefits of 5G, because now the citizens, we have 5G in our phones, our phone operators, telco companies, they offer us 5G. So 5G is here. It's ready. It's part of our day-to-day. But that is a commercial solution, that is a deployed solution. So we should explore what is the next step and why. And the next step certainly is the next generation, 6G. Why? Because there's going to be applications, there's going to be a societal need of better communications. And by better, we mean more efficient in terms of energy. So for the same amount of energy that we consume in 5G, we could improve communications. They could be faster, and they can be with more bandwidth for more applications, but at the same price, or hopefully less price energy cost than 5G. So we have to look into that. Next generation, that has to be better than 5G in terms of energy. That's one of the new goals of 6G. In terms of spectral efficiency, which means that the electromagnetic spectrum, which is a very scarce resource in the nature, that we better manage that to transmit more information in the same spectrum, giving opportunity to new applications. Basically, talking about the spectrum, making sure that, let's put an example, TV and radio. Back in the day, we had only radio, then we had TV, and they had to coexist in this space, in this electromagnetic space. Now we have to think in the same terms to make sure that the networks, that the previous generations, 4G, 5G, can coexist with the next one in the same space. So we have to do smarter things. And by saying smarter, we are talking about artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence...
I wanted to ask you precisely about that. So what is the intersection between mobile communication networks and artificial intelligence?
I think the world's crazy about AI
It
nowadays.
is. It actually is.
It's like the new Midas. Whatever it touches turns into gold. That is AI. But there's a reason why, because using AI, basically using mathematical models to understand the data, if we understand, then we can act. And that's what AI does. Understand the data to act better. And to act better, it's to take better decisions on how things should be done or should be used. In terms of 6G, if we mix artificial intelligence with telecommunications, with the new generation, with 6G, we are going to be capable to make this new generation smarter. It's going to coexist with the previous generation. It's going to bring better service to citizens, better service to industry at better costs. And by cost, I do not only mean less euros or less dollars. I mean environmental cost. We are not going to be acting so aggressively with our environment, with the planet. We are going to be greener. We are going to be more sustainable. And that, because
sustainability now is like a buzzword, right? So everyone talks about sustainability, and some people say that 6G should be sustainable and should be 6G for sustainability, right? What does this mean?
I think those are two concepts that we should understand, that society in general, we regular citizens should understand. What is sustainability? What sustainability means for a citizen in the day-to-day life. Basically means to make sure that whatever we are doing it, we can keep doing it without destroying our environment. Because if we exaggerate with overdoing certain things, there's not going to be good water, there's not going to be a good place to live, and suddenly we're going to be living in these apocalyptic visions that the world is going, it's going to disappear. So sustainability is, let's make the right things to keep living in a good environment, to make it sustainable. Therefore, by understanding that, we have to do two things. Use technology to help us to keep this world sustainable, or keep our activities sustainable. Therefore, there's technology to support, to help sustainability. And this other parallel concept, but what about the technologies per se? Are they sustainable per se? And then we have to explore on sustainable technologies. And one thing is there's people looking into, how do I make this technology, 6G, sustainable? Or let's call it a little bit more than 5G, beyond 5G. So let's make this beyond 5G future 6G sustainable. And at the same time, let's use them to make our other processes in life more sustainable. Also sustainable.
So Johann, you're talking about a need for an improved communication network. You're talking about the integration of artificial intelligence, the need for sustainability and building a technology that can help make a more sustainable world. So when building this future, what can we learn from the past? So if we look backwards and we see what we have done well and what we have done wrong with 5G, what would you say? What are the lessons learned?
I think I have been very active in 5G for the last 10 years or a bit more, since the creation of 5G, since our first discussion in our 5G PP world where we met, where we started to design 5G. So you and I are all dogs of the 5G world.
We are.
Yes, we are. I think what we did wrong, we overpromised. I think that's
I agree.
That's a problem.
I agree.
We overpromised. We said 5G is going to bring so many advancements to society, to industrial society, we are going to be able to have a really fast, ultra-low latency network, and at the same time, a massive connectivity network that's everything's going to be connected, and the network is going to be stable and is going to be capable to support. We are not going to use more electricity than before. So we start making all these promises because we aimed for good. We wanted good things to happen, and therefore we designed 5G with all these good intentions. But I think we overpromised.
Yeah.
And now that 5G is a reality, and 5G is being released per version, so the different releases. So we have every couple of years we have a better 5G. Even that, we are not delivering what we initially wanted. And I think that's a lesson learned for 6G, that we are going to be, that we should be cautious on what 6G can do. And I personally think that 6G, it's addressing the promises that 5G didn't live up to such promises.
Some people say so, that 6G will make all the promises of 5G a reality. And all these promises we're always saying that they will have an impact on society, a positive impact. So what kind of impact? So can you share with us which use cases you think are going to be a reality and are going to have a real impact? Not that they are nice to say, because some stories are like, this is a nice to tell story, but what do you think are going to be the use cases that will have a real impact on society, on economy?
Well, before talking about those use cases, I would say that something that I can clearly see because of the job that I do, leading programmable and intelligent networks at IMEC and U Antwerp, it's that now we are using a lot of softwareization, a lot of programmability in the network, which is to add capabilities via software so we can reconfigure the network. On top of that, we are adding intelligence, having this AI embedded part integrated into the network. So having these programs, this software capable to modify the network in an intelligent way, it gives the opportunity to have different behaviors of the network, to make this deployment, this network, to make it work in a way that satisfies something, and then with programmability we can reconfigure to satisfy another industry or another need. That already, it's bringing less costs on deployment, less hardware and electronics in the environment. So by using these capabilities in the network, we are making what I was saying at the beginning, more greener, more sustainable, more environment friendly, because we are producing less electronic garbage by having our electronics programmable. So to go to the question, with these capabilities of making the network one way or another, we could tweak the network to fulfill different use cases. Real use cases that I have seen so far, a lot has to do with industry. Whenever I talk to different stakeholders, I always see their needs and how 5G had been fulfilling them. And I would say that 5G, it's right now, the way it is, it's mainly addressing industrial cases. Do we have citizens, normal citizens like you and I, do we have 5G in the phone? Yes, we do. Do we have better services in our phone? Yes, we do. But they are not critical. If my Netflix video, it's a bit delayed.
Well, don't tell my kids.
Nothing will happen. We just have to be patient, and the video is going to come. But there are applications in real life that I have seen that certainly if the network stops, something bad can happen. Where? Especially in where I have seen petrochemicals. Petrochemical industry, they use a lot of fast connectivity to control this machinery. So all this petrochemical machinery, that they are critical, that they need to close the valve now because the pressure is building. We need to act and move that equipment now. Now is now. And we need that type of connectivity. I have seen that 5G is delivering that, that certainty to the users, building that, that precision in telecommunications, that now means now. And I have seen industry, automotive industry, being connected with 5G and receiving the messages now is now. For instance, when two vehicles, I'm not talking about autonomous vehicles and those fancy cars that we see in the videos. I'm talking about modern cars that we use in our day-to-day. When they need to communicate to each other that they are about to crash, that's milliseconds. And when they communicate with a faster connectivity with 5G, those cars stop. That's a normal use case that I have seen. Petrochemicals in the airport. So more and more I see that 5G, it's working pretty well for industry. 6G, what 6G will bring? If we are already happy with 5G, why shall we have 6G? I think for the reason that industry evolves. So the current industry that we have, it's happy and can work with 5G. But what about the future industry? And by future industry, there are new upcoming fields that we didn't imagine before. For instance, remote surgeries. I know that this is an easy example to talk, but there are places that are already exploring that, how to be able to remotely deliver health services, surgeries remotely, and that needs a lot of a faster connectivity in particular. And 6G, it's willing to address that one. Another field that doesn't sound so critical, but I realize that it's interesting to talk about, it's education. Although education is not a field that it's about death or it's a life or death situation in an education center. But if we are able to deliver this augmented education, goggles, and not only goggles, but imagine armors with sensors and connectivity that can help us to train people. I have seen already some examples of training first responders. For instance, to train police, to train fire brigades with all this equipment, and this has to be remote. And to recreate different scenarios that are dangerous, but if we can recreate with this technology and connected with 6G, we can train and educate people with this new way of educating with a pretty good experience.
Johann, the future you're describing looks brilliant, and I hope we get there soon. Just to conclude, when do you think we are going to see all this happening? You know that some people say that we will start seeing the deployment of 6G by 2030. Do you agree with this time plan?
Well, based on my experience with 5G, we always say that every 10 years the generation finally happens. Research, it does happen. Research is every 10 years we are researching in the next one as we speak right now. We're speaking 6G, and well, we're talking about initial 6G problems and thoughts already a couple of years ago. So research-wise, we are in that 10-year period for every generation. But industry-wise, I think that's a different story. Our objective, it's 2030, objective for the European Commission, which funds this type of research, objective for every country. I'm involved in a project called Bell 6GCA, so 6G for Belgium. IMEC is coordinating this project, where all the research groups, all the brilliant minds of Belgium are together, and we are looking into how 6G should evolve in the nation. So 2030? I don't think so. I think that it's going to be 2035 or perhaps a
Right.
little more, to see it on the streets and to see it in industry and hopefully to see it in the schools.
Wow. we will be looking forward to this brilliant future. Let's see if it's 2030, 2035. The matter is that we see it, right?
Yes.
And we see it together.
Our next generation, our children should enjoy this, and hopefully we are sitting here together in 10 years and talking about
Okay.
7G.
Deal.
Deal.
Yeah, we have a deal.
We have a deal for 7G discussion.
Exactly. Johann, thank you very much for coming to ECO6G. It has been a real pleasure to have you here, and let's keep on talking.
Jesus, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
invite.